Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? So, for the past 30 minutes, I've been somewhat looking at the top 200 horror movies on Rotten Tomatoes. I decided to do, something different for Halloween and start covering some of the most memorable horror movies, which is not really my cup of tea, to be honest. But like I said, to do something different other than sci fi and fantasy, I decided, okay, let's plunge into the horror movie genre for Halloween. So, for the past couple of shows, I've been going down the list on Rotten Tomatoes. And I say going down the list because that was it. It started on the top at 200, working my way to number one. Now, today I go to the site and yeah, they updated everything and now it works from the top down. So at the top, you have number one, working your way all the way down to 200. Yeah, so that kind of puts a wrench in the gears because now everything has changed. So hopefully, we can still manage something out of this. But nonetheless, it is what it is. And I do apologize because my cats are here with me. And it was raining all morning. The rain has stopped. They really do want to go out. But as you know, I am no longer letting them out. Well, I am, but up until the first snow, around that. But yeah, no longer when I'm doing these live shows because they jump on the roof and create all kinds of havoc all over the place. So for now, while I'm live with you folks, so basically for the next half hour, we can talk about anything, even though the title is the top 200 horror movies. We can talk about anything and everything. This is the time of day where I try to gather my thoughts and have coffee and see what I'm going to be covering the rest of the afternoon. Now, yesterday, or the past couple of days, I've been watching a series, an anime series. It's very fantasy driven. I did a review yesterday. Yeah, not getting any traction whatsoever, but the title is quite complicated. And to be fair and honest, even though it's funny, it does get repetitive. So, might want to have a look at that. Maybe not, but let's get going with our horror movies. Now, at number, I was probably around 40 or 30 yesterday, maybe even 20s. I don't think I was in the 20s, but I think I was around 30, definitely. But now that the list has changed, I'm going up to 45 because there's some new additions here. Like they have Godzilla from 1954. Now, I saw this as a kid on a Sunday afternoon rerun in black and white, and I kind of liked the movie. Back in my youth, Sundays you would always have one of these Japanese black and white movies going on. Some of them were Ultraman and that kind of stuff, but I do remember Godzilla. And later on, Saturday morning cartoons also had a Godzilla show, which I watched For me, Godzilla was never very horrific. Okay, I mean, yeah, fire-breathing behemoth, terrorizes Japan after an atomic bomb awakens it. I never understood the thing. I mean, at that age, I did not know nothing about the atom bombs. The two bombs that were dropped on Japan for the world wars and all that. I mean, we're talking about maybe I was 6 years old, 7 years old when I saw this. And I probably knew about the bombs around the age of 10. Between probably 8 and 10. That's when I discovered and learned about that. But back in the day when I saw Godzilla, didn't really understand this. Didn't nothing. I just really thought that the fire breathing they call it a behemoth, some call it a kaiju. I used to call it a dinosaur. uh, it was a fun movie to watch. I mean, it was pretty evident that there was miniatures and stuff. It was so cool. It was so cool as a kid. And strangely enough, I did have friends that had a toy version of this. So it was well known as a toy, even in French Canada back in the day. So kudos. Like I said, I didn't really find it anything horrific about it, but nonetheless, it's on the list here for some reason. Yesterday we did cover Dawn of the Dead, so I'm going to skip that. But see, at 44 here, it was much closer to the top 10 than it is now. Megan, I have not heard of this, not seen this at 93. Hey, imagine that. Apparently, this is just as much as a classic as Dawn of the Dead, which I tend to disagree with that. Because I've never heard it, but apparently they made a doll with AI in it, and it's creepy. And we have Border, never heard of it, at 97. Like, really? 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 A lot of movies that I've never heard of that, I mean, it's almost a perfect score. Nosferatu, even though it's a classic, for me, I don't know. If you're gonna be in the top horror movies, it kind of has to be scary. And they are talking about Nosferatu here, 1979. We already covered this one. There is another one, though, from the 30s, 1930s. Under the Shadow, from 2016 at 99%. That has to be super scary, right? Uh, yeah, I've kind of covered that. Prey, really? Prey? Prey from 2022. Now, I've seen this movie. It's a rare action thriller. I don't know why they put this in the horror, and especially, like at number 39. Really? Even the original Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger 40 years ago wasn't scary. It was fun. It was sci-fi. I don't get it. I don't know why it's on the list here, and it's at 94, and it's not even a scary movie. The Innocent from 1961, never heard of it. Nightmare on Elm Street, we probably covered this one. This should be like in the top 10 of all time. At least in the top 20. I don't know why they put it at 37. It wasn't even a, scary movie, so. But it's part of the horror genre, like the top three that I keep mentioning. Jason, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. So, yeah, we've talked about Freaks Vampire from 1932 at number 34. Black and white, probably has no sound. Now, Frankenstein, this should definitely be in the top 10. I saw Frankenstein. Frankenstein, I mean, everybody calls the monster Frankenstein, which it's understandable, but actually, Frankenstein was the doctor that created the monster. Little side note there. It was very creepy, taking parts of dead people, putting them together, hitting them with lightning and sparking life. But strangely enough, we are doing that with AI. I mean, AI is matter that between you and me, if you don't consider matter to be alive, then it's dead, and you're trying to make it become alive by inducting, current into it. So there are parallels between AI and Frankenstein, and it was really creepy. It was scary for a 6-year-old to watch. So yes, I definitely would put this in the top 10, or at least the top 20. Not at number 33 when it's like one of these all times classic. Repulsion, we've talked about it yesterday. Tigers Are Not Afraid from 2017. When a girl's mother disappears, leaving her on her own, she's going a gang of street children. What? Okay, whatever, at 97%. From 2023. Okay, so a movie from this year made it on the list, and it's called Talk to Me. Now, I have not seen this movie. I've heard at least two other people mention it. So the fact that those two people mentioned it kind of tells me that it is worth mentioning. Ah, hey, doesn't that make sense? Hey, coffee's kicking in today, folks. So I have not looked at it. Maybe it's something that I might do for the Halloween weekend coming up. I'm just saying so. Let me know in the comments if you think that Talk to Me it would be worth watching on the weekend. Now, Night of the Living Dead, we also spoke about this recently. His House, The Ring, Train to Busan, that somebody said that they liked it. The Babadook. I don't know what that is. From 2014, never heard of it. Okay, so somebody is telling the truth about a monster at 98% at number 25. I don't know. A Quiet Place Part 2. I did see A Quiet Place. I actually consider it like sci-fi because how can I say? I saw both of them. I saw Quiet Place Part 1 and Part 2. Obviously, the first one was in a Part 1, but I did see it, but it's kind of like aliens invaded the planet, but they are very sensitive to sounds. So you really have to be quiet because otherwise they will hear you and come and eat you up. Which, yeah, for me it was sci-fi because, aliens or monsters or something from something. But it was made creepy. I mean, Emily Blunt is a really good actress, no matter in pretty much all of her movies. I really like her, so I do recommend this. It is scary. It is nerve-wracking at times. Uh, I don't consider it horror, but yeah, it kind of does fit. Just like Aliens pretty much fits here, even though it's sci-fi, and I still consider it sci-fi. It was a scary sci-fi. So I would definitely put A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part 2 in the, yeah, scary horror genres, but sci-fi in brackets. Eyes Without a Face, we've talked about. The Devil's Backbone from 2001. Never heard of it, but hey, it's there. They do have a famous director here, Del Toro, so maybe it's good, maybe it isn't. I don't know. A lot of people like his movies. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, 1919. Ooh, we are going way back. So this is definitely black and white and definitely no sound. I don't know what to say to that. At number 20 here, The Bride of Frankenstein. How is this scarier than Frankenstein? I don't know. But yeah, after successfully making the monster, obviously the monster being whatever, all alone in this world of his own kind, Dr. Frankenstein decides to create a bride for him, or a girlfriend, or whatever you want to call it. The Wailing, we've spoke about it. It's apparently moved up on the list, like 30 positions, so I don't know what's up with that. Rosemary's Baby from 1968 is a cult classic. I personally did not like it, but yeah, Mia Farrow, Roman Polanski, not gonna talk about this. Okay. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Yeah, 1956. There was a remake of this, so I can't speak for the original, but to this day, people in this genre do consider it a cult classic. So yes, 17. So far, Frankenstein or The Bride of at 20 makes sense. The Wailing, I don't know. Rosemary's Baby makes sense to be in the top 20. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Here we go again with a Nosferatu, 1922. This was black and white and no sound. And it's not a very long movie, but might be okay. I mean, it's kind of like the original Dracula, but yeah. At number 15, The Invisible Man from 2020. Now, I don't know if, I mean, there's been a lot of Invisible Mans from superheroes to whatever semi horror superheroes, the the underdog hero, the anti-hero hero. After staging his own suicide, a crazed scientist uses his powers to become invisible to stalk and terrorize his ex-girlfriend. Okay, so this is not the hero that we know of. I don't like the subject, but whatever. If girls get creeped out by that movie, no wonder men, are getting labeled as toxic. Whatever. Diabolique. Okay. At number 14, I don't know. From 1955. Never heard of it, so I cannot talk about this. Okay. From 2014, What We Do in Shadows. And honestly, this is all out comedy. There is nothing scary about this. There's even been a series that is kind of. I started watching it. I mean, out of maybe 6 episodes, I laughed 3 or 4 times. So, not really that funny. Definitely not horrific. Not, man, it's just people cosplaying, and I think, you could pretty much sum it up by being drunk on the stage, It's not really good. Definitely not in a top two, man, a top 10 of horrors, really. Somebody's pushing an agenda here because this does definitely. When we have Nightmare on Elm Street at 40 in the 40s and this almost in the top 10 makes no sense. Shaun of the Dead, yes, we've already spoken about this. It used to be way up higher. I mean, I laughed. It was funny. There are some, times where something will take you by surprise. It is a lot of gore, a lot of. It's a comedy, pretty much like What We Do in the Shadows, but this one is really well done. I laughed throughout the movie. It made a lot of sense. It was a lot of fun to watch. From 2004, Shaun of the Dead. Obviously not in the top 20 horror movies, but definitely at 21. So invert these numbers just because it's a comedy. Well, yeah, Jason, Friday the 13th, Friday, Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy. Yeah, Hollywood. Well, Mike Myers is more scary than the others. It was less comedy and more serious, but still, a lot of stuff didn't make sense. We've spoken about Halloween yesterday, the original. So, yes, this definitely in the top 10 or 20s makes a lot of sense. And see, within the top 20, we have A Quiet Place twice. Now, no. Yes, it is scary and all that, but like I put Shaun of the Dead in the top. I mean, we should keep the top 20 to the classics. And then pretty much from there, because without these classics top 20, there would be no genre of this. So, so I'm not going to go up further for today. I think we've covered enough of these. So tomorrow, let's go to the 10 and below. And Friday, I will do my top 10 most frightening movies of all time. So obviously, we're going to talk about some other movies here. But yeah, because obviously, some of the movies that scared me are on this list here. So So there we go. So hopefully you found something entertainment, something worth pausing about, maybe a few suggestions to watch during this Halloween weekend with the kids. Try to scare them before Halloween. And I will see you in the next one. Bye bye, folks.